But I do think it's funny how Nootbaar was subdued when he came back from the WBC. All of a sudden, you don't see the pepper shaker. You don't see this. You don't see that. It's like, are you guys mad because he played for Japan? Or, you don't want to, you ruined it by doing it for the Japanese team. I mean, are we back in, kindergarten? Are we in third grade? So that's the kind of thing. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That one thing like that. That's exactly an example of what I mean, where they sort of took the energy and the joy out of Nootbaar because somebody or someone or some people down there had to make him feel awkward because he won a gold medal for Japan and he beat he didn't do it, but he's part of the team, one of their best players that did it, who beat the U.S. in the championship game. It also had some Cardinals on it. So, but that's the WBC. You either, let people play no matter who they're representing and you forget about it, But that's why, just this kind of whiny little subculture there, I can't say I'm happy with it.
I think you're on to something in this respect, Bernie. At least I have similar feelings in terms of I just get the sense that the Cardinal organization doesn't want that type of player around. And I just and the reason I say, it was you just listed two of the guys and they moved on from them and for various reasons they could give us. I wasn't necessarily a Tommy Pham guy, but he was an outspoken. Let's be a little boisterous, outspoken kind. They didn't like that.
I loved it. I loved. Oh no, they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
They ran him. They ran him off. Matheny really wanted him out of there because he would question authority, which for really insecure, paranoid people like Mike Matheny, that's like a flaw that must be removed immediately. Mike Schultz like that too. He stands up cursing and using F-bombs and even worse words than that, putting on some fake tough guy act after they beat the Braves, talking about how they were going to kick the Nationals' asses. He said a lot worse than that. And then Randy Rosarino was recording it live on Facebook. And look, it's just a young, silly thing done by a very, at that point, kind of immature major leaguer, The answer to that is not to trade him. But they are such an uptight organization. I think you're onto something there because there is a pattern. There's no doubt about it. There is a pattern.
And, I know when you're not winning, the atmosphere isn't as good. I get all that. But I don't know what they told Lars, but Lars is nowhere near the boisterous guy and the fun guy he has been in his previous seasons. They've done the same thing to the catcher, Contreras. We know how.
Not anymore. He's like, the hell with this.
I hope
Not
so.
Not anymore.
I hope so. He just, early on, he hasn't been that guy. Hopefully he's coming back to being.
In this stretch that he's on, his last 16 games or whatever, it isn't just he's hitting 400 and doing what people that have a reasonable knew he would do. It was just a matter of time. I wish it would have happened sooner, but he's on a roll now. But he has not held any emotion back during this stretch. None.
We need more of it. You need more of it in this group.
He's max intensity. If they don't like it, then that they're phonies because Yadier Molina was max intensity all the time. And they claim that's what they want from a catcher, among other things. And, so a lot of phony baloney stuff going on.
Yep.
By the way, Contreras, I was looking at him up that he's on a great run. We were talking about it, but it's interesting. Fangraphs does defensive ratings, composites. They take all the different systems and they come with a composite figure. And he's above average according to their composite defensively. Now he had none of us liked what we saw Sunday.
It was a rough one, yeah.
But the thing about Contreras that's fascinating to me is that everyone's going to just go completely bananas when he screws up on defense. See, this guy can't catch. Everyone's just going to go nuts. Instead of just looking at the whole body of work, I think his defense has been fine. There's no surprises there. I wish he was better at blocking pitches, but I was reading an interesting piece on The Athletic today, which was really deep dive analytics. And I didn't want to go on that deep dive, but I was just looking at the charts they had. And I expected to see when they really went deep dive in terms of catchers metrics and stuff. I was looking on the list. So here are the worst, pitch blocking catchers. I'm starting at the top. I'm looking down. It's like 25. It's like 30 names. I'm looking down. But Contreras wasn't on the list, which means he's not. It doesn't mean he's good, but I think that it's been a little overstated. And part of it is because, everyone that had a kid who was a catcher in Little League thinks that a catcher should block everything, and keep in mind the staff he's handling too, right?
It's a handful.
Are these exactly control artists?
No.
So anyway, and I'm a Contreras fan, so I hope people come to, because I think most Cardinals fans are pretty cool with them, so that's all right. Hey, we got Derek Gould coming at 5:30. There's a couple things I wanted to mention. By the way, I did check in with Denny down at Friendly Sports Bar and Grill because I was concerned about that. I wanted to make sure we got out the right info to you. Friendly's will have the All-Star game on tonight, so it's Friendly's at Bayless at 55. They've got it set up. They're not blocked out because of this squabble between DirecTV and Fox. And I know that I'm blocked out at home, and I know people that have any kind of ATT or DirecTV, which is one and the same. It's a hassle. You have to sort of work around it with it taking a streaming service trial, and and then you give. Sometimes you look at it and you take a look at it, and you can decide, hey, this is pretty good, and then you can sort of you're only obligated. You get a free trial for 7 days or whatever it is, and then no problem, no hassle. You just opt out of it. You could do that in this case if you're ambitious enough. And by the way, you ain't doing anything wrong. You ain't breaking any rules. All right, I told you earlier I was putting together some Cardinals first half stuff. And I just wanted to go skip down to a couple categories that get people talking a little bit. 3 biggest disappointments. Now, I cheated a little bit because I put 2 guys in. I have 3, 1, 2, and 3. And I have 2 guys together, so it's actually 4. But first of all, the most disappointing player is Tyler O'Neill, the friendly ghost. Rumor has it that he'll be floating into our vicinity soon. Number 2, I had Liberatore and Matz. The disappointing trade that sent Randy Rosarina to Tampa Bay for Liberatore, it really does look worse every single day, worse by the day. As for Matz, look, I'm rooting for him. I think he's got good stuff. He should be better. Hopefully what he did in Chicago will carry over. He kind of learned about aggressive pitching. Maybe he needed to relearn that. I'm pulling for the guy, and he did some really nice work out of the bullpen. But Mozeliak gave him $44 million to be a starter. And in 20 starts for the Cardinals over the 2 seasons, 5.40 ERA as a starter, and opponents have bashed him for an 804 OPS. So those guys are definitely disappointing. And listen, I was a big-time Liberatore honk. Feel free to make fun of me. That's okay. But he's gotten worse instead of getting better. And again, it goes something I talked about much earlier in the show. I don't have time to get in today, maybe tomorrow. This isn't about advanced metrics. It's about being able to make your players better, and that's what the great teams do. It was a really wonderful piece, really informative piece about that written on Defector. And I was like, wow, I was hoping somebody would write this, somebody who is capable of presenting it and has the perspective that's much sharper than I am. And that happened. So I don't know. To me, I just keep circling back to why do they fail to make players better? Why do so many players and pitchers get worse? Why is Palante worse than he was last year? Now Hicks is getting better. There's examples. I want to try to be fair, but anyway, let me get back to the topic. O'Neill, number 1, disappointing. Number 2 is Liberatore and Matz. Number 3, Giovanni Gallegos, and it kind of pains me to say that because I have a lot of respect for him. He's been a hell of a reliever for the Cardinals, but the hard innings and the heavy usage have caught up to him. He had a 3.05 ERA last season. It's 4.25 this year. His home run rate is up by an alarming percentage. And after carving out a 31% strikeout rate last season, the strikeout rate's down to 24% this year. And the hard hit rate against him is way, way, way up from 2022. But is it Gallegos or is it burnout? Again, I respect this dude a lot, but you have to say that if you're just going to go bottom line performance, it's been disappointing. But some better managing might alleviate that, in my opinion. Maybe there's something in the iPad that they can look at. I don't know. Does the iPad said, "You idiots, you're pitching him too much"? Does Siri jump in or anything like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right? Anyway.
That would be great.
Now, I'm going to go underrated and overrated, and I'm going to tell you, listen, man, I don't write things for effect unless it's tongue-in-cheek and I make it clear that it's tongue-in-cheek. This is what I really believe. There will be disagreement on both of these. Underrated, of course, that's Paul DeJong. You know why I say underrated? Because, number one, no one expected him to do a damn thing. Absolutely nothing this year. He's done a lot more than nothing, but even as he does a lot more than nothing, there is a bizarre segment of the young haters out there. It doesn't matter what he does. He's trash, he's garbage, throw him away. Try to get a box of Kleenex for him, whatever So why would I say he's underrated? Well, first of all, because, again, there were zero expectations for him. And some people don't have the maturity or the intelligence to actually say, you know what, strikes out too much, but he's done a good job for them. That's my perspective. Does he strike out too much? Oh, you betcha. But absolutely nothing was expected from this dude in 23. He's given the Cardinals 12 home runs. He's hit one about every 18 at-bats. He's slugging .434. He plays plus defense at shortstop. And he has... and I love rolling this one out because I guarantee you 98% of our audience would say, well, Bernie, what's he hitting with runners in scoring position, like 120? No. Actually, with runners in scoring position, 49 at-bats, he's hitting .286. He got a .333 on-base percentage. He's got a .612 slug. He got a .945 OPS, 4 doubles, 4 homers, and 20 RBI. I can't tell you how much I see on Twitter and other online places. This dude never gets a hit with runners in scoring position. He doesn't get a hit. I don't know why they just don't pinch hit for him. No matter, even if a pitcher's got a hit, he's useless with runners in scoring. How's a guy useless if he's got a .945 OPS? He's got 4 doubles, 4 homers, and 20 RBI. How is that? I don't understand. Define useless for me. He's one of the better hitters they have with runners in scoring position. I know that facts are difficult for people to accept who have an agenda. These are facts. It's not an opinion. You don't have to accept the facts, but if you don't accept the facts, that makes you stupid. Sorry. DeJong's got 1.4 WAR, which puts him in the top 17 of all Major League shortstops. You said, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, because, again, no one expected anything. Expect him to be like a negative wins above replacement, not a plus. And his defensive presence at shortstop, I'll take it through one more time, has enabled Marmol to use Edman as a defensive upgrade in center field. What in the hell is there to complain about with Paul DeJong? There really isn't much except the strikeouts, but the people who do that define him with those strikeouts instead of taking a broader, more intelligent view and actually trying to learn something. And just accept that maybe you were wrong about him being useless, no good, throw him away. I don't even know why he's back. You think I was crazy about him being on the roster? No, I wasn't. I didn't expect anything. I'm one of the people who've been saying, oh, my goodness, okay, it was a bad contract, but are you just going to keep him around? I was saying all that stuff, but the difference between me and some of y'all out there, I got no problem just saying, hey, over here, my right hand's up. Man, I was wrong about this dude. He's been a lot better than I thought. It's okay to do that. No one's going to question your manhood, right? No one's going to, call you a cuck or something. It's okay. Yeah, actually, people with strong character will say, yep, I was wrong about that when you all got me. I don't know why people have an allergy to that. You see it a lot with sports fans. Overrated, and you have to hear me out on this one. I think I think the first half, their most overrated guy, based on the contract and based on expectations, Mikolas. I'm sure, like I said, many of you will disagree, but hear me out. They gave him a 2-year, $40 million contract in spring, and he was expected to step up and be the rotation leader in waiting to Adam Wainwright. And listen, I give Mikolas, he supplies a good amount of innings by today's modern standards. He does supply a good amount of innings, and there's value in that. But the inconsistency, to me, is really frustrating. Now, follow me through this. It's only 3 numbers. It's not a big deal. But I'm telling you why I came to this conclusion. First month of the season, when the Cardinals got off to a bad start, he had a 5.97 ERA. Now, in May, he was very, very, very good. He had a 1.89 ERA in May. But since then, in 7 starts, 5.02 ERA. So tell me again why I'm supposed to praise this guy and say, oh, man, this guy's been great for the Cardinals. He's really stepped it up. He hasn't. He's had 1 good month. Every other month, his ERA's been over 5. That makes him, to me, overrated because I think there's a feeling he's better than he out there. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, and I'll say I'm wrong if I am. Seems to be a feeling out there that's, he's better than he really is. Again, how can you be considered like a strength of the starting rotation, even this one, when you've had 1 good month, and we're sitting here almost in mid-July. And before that 1 good month, you were terrible, and after that, you've been terrible. I don't know, Jim. Am I being too hard on him? I think he should be better than this.
I would say much better, yes. I would agree with that, especially the first month. It was just brutal. I don't even know where I hate to use the term the World Baseball Classic was part
it's
of it.
Contreras' fault.
But yeah, it was always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
The reality was he was awful. He couldn't execute his pitches. And he's a guy who's always been able to execute his pitches. That's why I think it's more on him than all these other things that people are coming up with. But, yeah, I can get the overrated feel for that, yes.
Yeah. I did a trending up and trending down. And I can sneak some of this in, I think.
Sure.
Trending up, Brendan Donovan. Since May the 21st, he's been brilliant. 324 average. Beautiful 418 on-base percentage, 897 OPS. He's also got 6 homers and 16 RBI, scored a bunch of runs over that time. That's 40 games, the last 40. And during this 40-game stretch, I love this little nugget that I looked up. During this 40-game stretch where he's really put together a wonderful stretch, he's logged 13 games at second base, and this includes when he goes in, when he moves from another position. This includes if you play multiple positions in a game. But he has been at second base 13 times, 10 times in left, 6 at first base, 6 in right field, 5 at third base, and 5 at DH. Including his pinch hitting appearances, Donovan has filled multiple roles in games 16 times this year. I mean, seriously, did I do that list that I gave you of all the places he's played and the number of times even if it's for 2 or 3 innings, the number of times he spent at all these positions? Where are you going to find that? Seriously, where are you going to find that?
Super
Can't be Campaneris is retired, I believe. Where are you going to find this? And yet, they better trade him. He doesn't really have a position. Yeah, that's the point. He's got 6 positions.
Very well done.
Hate to break it to you, Dick Williams. Hate to break it to you.
You got all the names going tonight.
There's a lot of value in playing 6 positions. Wilson Contreras is trending up. I talked about him. His last 16 games, 404. With a 1.194 ERA or OPS, 11 extra base hits. He's now 7th among Major League catchers in WAR. His WRC plus, he's 11% above league average offensively. And that ranks, offensively, he's the 6th ranked catcher in baseball. Is he Sean Murphy? No. But if you're the number 6 catcher in baseball and you're getting, those numbers are only get better and you're already number 6. And if you look, I told you about the Fangraphs composite defensive ratings. I think he's a little better than we think. In other words, he's not awful. Is he the ideal for that? No, but he's not as bad as people want to make him out to be. And I mentioned the other day, but did you know that Contreras has more WAR, wins above replacement, than JT Realmuto's this season? That can't be, right? Because Contreras is the worst catcher ever lived, and they should never sign him. It's a waste of money. Contract's a bust already. Mo, you ought to just put him on designate for assignment because this is a failure, right? Something like that. Did I get that right? I think Jack Flaherty's trending up. I'm hesitant to talk about that because do I have confidence in him? No. But the bottom line, even with a couple clunkers, his last 10 starts, he's got a 3.09 ERA, and he's got 12 and 2/3 scoreless innings in his last 2 outings. Too many walks? Yeah. Too many hits? Yeah. But he is still trending favorably, and that's what this is, trending. Jordan Hicks, for reasons we've talked about a lot, I will just leave it at that. He's really taken to the closer role. And no, I'm not going to condemn him for making a bad and silly throw that helped cost them a game in Miami. Or was that Friday night? They all run together. No, the point being, okay, that was a big mistake. He's the first to admit it. Had nothing to do with his pitching. And he's been really, really good since taking over the closer role. One blown save. That was that night where he did make the error. Trending down, I'll just give you, listen, Adam Wainwright for obvious reasons. Nolan Gorman. On May the 25th, he had a .613 slug. His OPS was right around 1,000. 10 doubles, 13 homers, 40 RBI. Strikeout rate was reasonable, 26%. And based on WRC Plus, he was 69% above average offensively at that time, May 25th. Since then, he's hitting 142, 212 on base, 258 slug, 470 OPS, four home runs and 12 RBIs and 120 at-bats, 39.4% strikeout rate. Those numbers require no elaboration. He needs to regroup and power it back up. It's been disappointing, man. I love this kid. Very disappointing, the turn that he's taken. And I thought he was starting to get out of it, and then he kind of went back down in it again. I mentioned this earlier in the show. It doesn't need any explanation. Lars Nootbaar and Dylan Carlson, I made them a tag team because offensively they've combined. They're both about, if you put them together, they're both a little above average. That's not good enough. And there's not enough power on the Nootbaar side. Number 4, Andre Polani. 4.40 ERA, much worse than last year. His work against left-handed batters is pretty good. But here's what Ali Marmol hasn't figured out. Opposing managers have figured out that Pallante does poorly. Even though he's a right-handed pitcher, he's done poorly when facing right-handed hitters. And so they load up or they have right-handed hitters ready to go on the bench during games to take him on, to exploit him. Jim, his numbers, I didn't realize were this bad. This season, right-handed hitters are just teeing off on Pallante. 367 average, 484 on base, 469 slug. He's walked them almost 18% of the time. I'm not sure why the manager and Coach iPad are incapable of, A, recognizing that he's useless against right-handed hitters, and B, why they can't come up with something that would make him at least respectable against righty batters. Righty confrontations should not be gone this bad. Again, is there anything in the iPad that can enlighten them? I don't know. So anyway, those are the 4 biggest disappointments.